How's everybody doing? So, one of my professors once told me that my headphones were too quiet and that I should do a presentation one more time. Uh, Jason. But over time, I wasn't able to do that presentation and we had to make do. My TA go back to me saying it was the best presentation he has seen in his career, but still, I wanted to improve on it. I don't know if we will be able to improve on it right now to the point that I want to perfect it. This is pretty dark and not the ideal scenario, but still, I will try to read one of my favorite passages from one of my favorite books, and hopefully that makes up for our mishap in the class. This is from Banewreaker by Jacqueline Carey. I don't remember the page number, but I have it printed out. So here we go. Tongue skelter fill. Somewhere Hargoof was roaring. Form a square, Caljunder, to the hunt. Tanaro swore again, having lost his grip on the reins of Serlinde's mount and Donoshashin. He drew his Pelmaran sword as a ghostly warrior bore down upon him, swinging hard. His blade cleaved, only missed, and deadly laughter pealed like bells, bright and bitter. Again and again, the hosts of Numereth encircled him, pale mocking in their unsubstantial beauty, riding past to swipe at him with ghostly blades, filled with unreasoning terror. Tanaros dug his heel into the black sides, turning him in a tight circle, lashing out with his sword. Everywhere he turned, the wraiths surrounded him, riding in a ring, swirling into mist when his steel passed through them, only to coalesce unharmed. White fire filled the hollows of their eyes, and death was written in it. Some yards away through the wraith mist, Ushashin Dream Spinner had fallen, writhing to the ground, clutching his twisted hand over his ears. And then one of the riding wraiths brushed close enough to touch him, and Tanaros heard the voice of the dead whispering in his own mind. Because of you we were slain, whom the Lord of Thought made deathless. Because of you the world was sundered. Because of you we are bound here. No, Tanaros shouted in silence the racing chorus. It is not true. Dwelled in peace until the enemy came from the north, and hordes upon hordes of Fjoltroll tore down our walls and slaughtered our armies. It is not true. Numereth, Val, Nandinor, names out of legend, slain before his birth. Tall lords of the Elion with eyes of white fire, and on their breastplates the insignia of their house, the swift plains Elbok, picked out in stable shadow. Numereth the fleet, whose silver helm was crowned with wings. They closed around him, wraith mist touching his living flesh, the tide of their litany rising in his straining mind. Plains of Kurnan ran red with blood and the screams of the dying, and we were driven from our homes, we who were the riven lost, the Eldar. No, no! Tanaro shut his eyes against them in desperate denial, putting up his sword. Under his right elbow, he felt a lump of Hargol's Rios in his pouch. A familiar rage rose in his heart. Dwell in peace, my ass. You marched against him in Herniarch. Let me try that again. Dwell in peace, my ass. You marched against him in Herniarch. Elsewhere, the sound of battle raged, but the voices fell silent in his mind. Without daring opening his eyes, Tanaros dismounted, letting the reins fall slack. Crawling, he groped his way across the cracked marble and tufted herd grass towards the sound of Rishashin's agonized keening. There, a few paces from the half breed, his hands found what he sought, the leather case that held the helm of shadows. Cousin, he reached out blindly to touch the session. I am taking the helm. Tanner rose. A breath hissed through his clenched teeth. Get them out of my head. I will try. With fingers stiff from clutching his hilt, Tanner rose under the clasps and withdrew the helm. It throbbed with pain at his touch, and he winced at the ache in his bones. His hands trembled as he removed the Pelmaran helmet and placed the helm of shadows on his head, opening his eyes. Darkness, pain. Darkness like a veil over his vision. We try. Darkness like a veil over his vision, casting the plains and turned the ruined city in shadow. Pain, a constant companion. The ghost of a wound throbbed in his groin, deep and searing, pumping a steady trickle of ichor down the inside of his leg. Such was the pain of Sartoris, stabbed by Oronin lastborn before the world was sundered, and the darkness of the helm was the darkness in his heart. Once it had been Howmane's weapon, no longer. Tanaros rose. Before him, the race of the house of Numereth arrayed themselves in a line, silent warriors and silent horses. In the helm's shadowed vision, they had taken on solidity, until he saw bitter sorrow in their eyes instead of flame. And he saw bitter sorrow in their eyes instead of flames, and the marks of their death wounds upon their ageless flesh. Across the plains and throughout the city, other battles raged. Westward, the surviving station riders fled in full blown terror. Not even the horses of Darkhaven able to outrun the race. In a deserted plaza, where once a fountain had played, high groups fell forth shadows, their guttural cries hoarse with exhaustion and fear. Cut. I am kind of exhausted from reading that as well, but let's go again. Uncut. Here and there in the streets, the stalking Kaljander waged battle with the dead, and to the south, a lone rider streaked in flight, unpursued. Numereth. Tanneros gazed Numereth. Tanneros gazed steadily through the eye slits of the Helm of Shadows. I claim the city in the name of Sartoris the Shaper. This quarrel is older than your laws, and your shades have no power in Urlat. Begone. You can read the rest later. Thank you.